Hi, Sandra Wilson here. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist who helps people with hair pulling and skin picking. So I thought I would do a little video today about overcoming the cycle of shame that can often accompany people with trichotillomania. So feelings of shame are very common, especially if you've struggled with the condition for a long time and you find yourself in that cycle of pulling, feeling momentary pleasure when you pull. Then comes the guilt and then the shame. And shame can feel so intense. It's such a debilitating, toxic emotion that often serves no purpose whatsoever. And it can lead to you feeling a lot worse, especially if you have promised yourself, or especially you have promised another person that you're going to stop doing it. And you might find yourself dodging awkward questions like, why do you do this to yourself? Or aren't you worried that your hair will never go back again? And these questions often come from the people that we're closest to. And you might have then found yourself pulling in secret, then trying to cover up the bold patches or spots in case somebody notices and points them out. And family and friends who want to support you might not fully understand why you do it. And chances are you yourself aren't sure why you do it either. And that's because the habit is subconscious. And when I say that, what I mean is it comes from a part of the brain that does things without your conscious awareness or even your permission. And this is why stopping is so hard. So you might really desperately want to stop, and you try, and you soon find your willpower running dry and find yourself then overwhelmed and overpowered by the urge, especially if the reason you are pulling is somehow linked to other negative emotional states. And shame just adds a whole new layer into the mix, and it creates a lot of discomfort. And this can lead to feelings of low self-esteem and depression and even loneliness. So how can you work with the shame, especially if you're not ready yet to seek help for this condition? And remember that self-bullying and self-shaming will ultimately just feed the urge. It makes the pulling worse. And acceptance is so important, even if this feels impossible. So by accepting who you are in this moment doesn't mean that you're accepting yourself as a person who is going to be pulling for the rest of their life. Just accepting yourself for who you are in this moment and reminding yourself that you are not your trick. You are not defined by this condition. And you might like to try to think of some things about your life and about yourself that you like, that you love, things that you find pleasure in doing. Remember that when you focus on what is working, what feels good, that can promote the feel-good chemicals in the brain. Okay, so you then may not need to rely on pulling so much to promote them, to trigger them. And try not to define yourself by your pulling, like I just said. Remember that it's not your fault. This is a disorder rather than a logical choice that you're making. But do remember that it is a disorder that is treatable. And when you're ready, you might like to reach out for help. Well, I hope that you found this video to be useful, and I'll be back with more content tomorrow. Bye for now.